أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد السلام على آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين صلوات رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم صدق الله العظيم صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
So this is my final majlis. So I'm going to do a little bit of a catch up, or rather put it all together in a bit of a nutshell so you know what we've been talking about. Our topic has been the spiritual bank. And we started off right in the beginning by saying this spiritual bank is one that you can access whenever, wherever, whatever the situation. So it must be inside you. We talked about the requirements, which is basically La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyyun Waliyullah. We also talked about the hadith of Imam Hussain alayhi salam when he asked for the last night for respite, when he said, Ana uhibbu salah wa tilawat kitabihi, I'm hoping you will join me, wa kathrat al-du'a wal istighfar. So we talked at a little bit of a length for salah and Quran and du'as and istighfar. But in essence, if you think about it, all these four are encompassed in salah. All these four, whether you talk about salah, which is salah in any case, when you're talking about recitation of Quran, Quran can only be experienced in salah. You cannot experience Quran unless it is in salah. Now, I keep on saying this, and I say this with great pride. I'm a Koji, right? But 99% of the time, after Surah Al-Fatiha, it's one of the small surahs. It's either Ikhlas, or it's Asr, or it's Qadr, or it's... But I will never venture into any of the other surahs. I don't know why. Suddenly you stop being a Shia if you read another surah. That's not the case. You can actually pick up your Quran and read another surah. And you should. Because otherwise we know very few. If you recite a surah in salah, there is an amazing thing that happens. It actually stirs something in the soul because you're using his words to talk to him. Dua is done in salah, I told you. Either we do it in qunut or we will do it in sajda. So continually ask, kathrat al-dua wal istighfar. Our life is only astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu. Now this love of salah cannot be put in. It has to come from within. So let me give you a small example, and I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. What was the time for salah this morning? Anybody? Okay, around 2:32, 2:34, and for Zohar? Pardon? 1:11. Okay, Maghrib, it's not Ramadan, so you should know it, okay? Okay, 9:35. Okay, now I'm going to go into something else. What about Asr?
5.
You're getting there. 3:36. And what about Isha?
11:20.
Okay, 11:30. That's good. That's good enough. But what we've done is we're a bit hesitant, and you didn't hear everybody say it out. If it was Ramadan, you would tell me the time of Maghrib exactly as it was. Now imagine you are, forget about being in love with someone. That's different, okay? That's a different kettle altogether. But if you had an appointment, and these days, to get an appointment with even a doctor is quite difficult, right? Now say you had an appointment with a doctor at 11:20. I can promise you, you will drop everything and you go to that appointment. These days they do these virtual appointments on Zoom or Teams or whatever, but you will be sitting there 5 minutes before because you want to get better. And the soul in itself needs that salah because it has those 4 things all encompassed in them. There is no way a mother or anybody speaking from anywhere will put that love of salah in. It has to come from itself. And salah is really, really important. You know, you can even read salah if you can't get up. If you can't stand, you will sit. If you can't sit, you will lie down. If you're lying down and you can't even move your head, you can use your eyelids. It's that simple. Yet salah is so elusive to us. So now we go back to this bank and we're going to deposit all this stuff of salah in it and everything we've learned, all the ayat, etc. But if you want a bond, and if you want a bond that keeps on giving, that will never, ever, ever let you down. Now, financially, you have the government bonds. You know, government bonds will always be there, unless the government crashes completely, which is very rarely, so people buy government bonds. In the same way, there is a bond that will keep this spiritual bank going all the time. And that bond is known as ziyarah. Now, the word ziyarah comes from Zohr. Zohr actually means to turn away, to deflect. So, to deflect completely. The word ziyarah means that you deflect from everything except the one that you are visiting, or the one that you are calling upon. And it's really important to understand what ziyarah means. And the reason I picked on this is because, and I do it every year, is because tomorrow, hopefully, we will do Amal Ashura. I'm going to take you through some ahadith of the Prophet. For example, the 6th Imam, he had a companion called Sulair. He said, Sulair, do you go or do you do the ziyarah of Hussein every day? He said, no. He said, every week? No. Every month? No. He said, Sulair, what is stopping you when you finished all your work to go on your roof? Now for him that was a flat roof, for you and me it's going outside. What is stopping you from going outside under the sky, looking right and left and saying, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah? I mean, how difficult is that? Tell me. If somebody told you that is that bond that will keep your spiritual bank going, you go just now and say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. Imam Khomeini, if you looked at his practices, before every salah and after every salah, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. When you drink water, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. It's not difficult, it's not rocket science. And when I say salam, is not the jawab wajib. I repeat again. If I say salam, the jawab is wajib. I have somebody whom, in life, if we have people whom we're not very comfortable with, the way to get them to reply to you, say salam, they have no choice but to answer. So that husband, that mother-in-law, that father-in-law, gets a little bit funky. Just say salamun alaikum. They have to reply. Now, if I am going to say Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdillah, and Quran says, La tahsabanna alladhina kutilu fi sabilillahi amwata. Do not even think of those who have given their life in the way of Allah as dead. Bal ahyaun inda rabbihim. They are alive with their Rabb. What will Aba Abdillah say to you and me? Wa alaykis salam. And when he says wa alaykis salam, it actually means may you be encompassed in the salam of Allah. Allah's name is As-Salam. It's number 5, by the way. Easy because you do salam with the hand. You go like this, don't you? Salam. Okay. Salam comes from the word siblam. Siblam means a ladder. So when somebody says alaykum salam or you say salamun alayka, you are saying may you rise to your full potential. Salam is also in Arabic the poisonous bite of a snake, the venom. So you're saying may you be safe from the venom of words. And more than anything else, may you be encompassed, may you be hugged by Allah. Okay, I'm just going to put it in our words. So can you imagine all the time saying, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. And they won't get tired. There's a wonderful story narrated by Ayatollah Bahjat. You've heard of Ayatollah Bahjat, right? So Ayatollah Bahjat talks about these farmers. And he says these farmers were going to visit Imam Rida. So they're going to visit Imam Rida. And on the road, as many farms as they came across, they talked to the farmers and they said, come on, let's go. We're going to visit Imam Rida. One farmer said, I can't come. I'm the only person on this farm. I have to look after my animals. I have to look after my family. There's nobody here. And they said, what's wrong with you? It's all about work. And you don't want to go and see Imam Rida. Come on, just leave them and come. It will only take a day. He said, I can't. Who's going to feed them in the morning? Who's going to look after my animals? And they started being a little bit aggressive. He said, wait. He turned towards Mashhad and he said, Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulullah. And they all heard the answer, wa alayka assalam. Right? Now for me and you, you know the answer is wajib. You know you will get an answer. So it's not, I'm only going to read Ziyarah Ashura on Ashura. I'm only going to read the Ziyarah of Abu Abdullah when I stand up after a majlis. No, make it a habit. Every time you see, you're going to drink water anyway, right? Okay, you're going to drink juice, whatever you're going to drink. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. It can't be that difficult. So that's something we can take back home. Ziyarah is very much connected to love. Very much. Now you know the word love. The moment you think love, you think Valentine's. Chocolates and flowers. La la la. They die and they make you fat. Okay. So that's what people think. And love is probably that word. Most libraries are filled with books about love. It's a bit of an enigma, as I might want to say. Okay? But ziyarah is about love. Because when you recite ziyarah, or when you say ziyarah, and remember what Ayatollah Bahjat said. He said, when you come to the majlis of saying shahada, never say you're coming to a majlis. Say you're going for the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah. Okay? So now when you come here, what are you doing? There's two things you're doing. One is called tawalla and one is called tabarra. Now you may have heard about it in madrasa. You know when you learned furu ad-din. You said usul was 5 and furu was 10. You knew the salah and the sawm and the hajj and the zakat and the khums and the jihad. Oh, we knew all that. But when we got to tawalla and tabarra, we sort of thought, last two, let me put them to one side. Tawalla is actually running towards or going towards perfection, or going towards my full potential. And the only way I can do it is if I have an example in front of me. Right? Because they will teach me what to do. That is tawalla, and that is what we do in ziyarah. Tabarra comes from bara'a. Surah number 9 of the Quran is Suratul Bara'a, or it as Suratul Tawbah. Bara'a means to disassociate. I disassociate myself from everyone who does injustice. So if I'm going to be very practical about Ziyarah Ashura, I am running towards Hussein and I am running away from Yazid. If I told you just now, close your eyes. So sorry, I say that to the children. So if I told you Gaza or the idiot who kills them, what will you run towards? Oh really? That is ruins, that is a palace. Why? Why would you do that? Because inside you and me there is goodness. You will go towards the good and you will move away from that which is wrong. And that in essence is what is called tawalla and tabarra. Now a few more hadiths before we go into something that everybody has an issue with. Lots of young people come to me and they say, we can't do Ziyarat Ashura. We can't do Amal Ashura. Why? Because we don't like la'na. I'll talk about it in a minute. But first, let's go. Ayatollah Tabrizi. He says, the door of Hussein is comprehensive. It's a rapid response and approval. You want something to be approved? Just go to Hussein. Come on this verse. And say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. And the reply will come straight away. The 6th Imam tells Safwan, when you are confronted with adversity, you can't translate it at the same time. Seek redress from Imam Hussein with this ziyarah, whether you're near or you're far. Now he lists 4 benefits. 1, he says, what you want will be at your door. 2, he says, you will get entry to Jannah. Most important is number 3, immunity from Jahannam. And the 4th one, he says, you get the power of shafa'ah. And if we don't read the ziyarah and we don't understand it, then seriously, we've got something wrong with us, really. Okay. Now I'm going to come to la'na because I need to make us understand what it is. Now the translation, which was done by, I don't think people who actually, I can't say they didn't understand, but maybe they were Orientalists. And they translated la'na as curse. So in my head, it was a curse. La'na is a dua where you're asking Allah to remove His rahmah, to remove His mercy. That's what you're doing. Now if I told you just now that there is a murder of children loose in this world today, and you know who I'm talking about, murderers, okay? Would you not want to remove the mercy of Allah from them? Because knowingly they are harming other children. I don't know whether you've heard of Hind Rajab. Have you heard of her? Columbia University changed their hall from Hamilton Hall to Hind Hall. Have you heard her mama? Mama's name is Wissam Hamada. Please listen to her. Wissam is Hind's mama. Think about it when you think of la'na. Would you not want to send la'na, which is withdrawal of mercy, from those who killed that child? Would you not? Okay, so you know what la'na is now. La'na is not abuse. Abuse in the Quran is known as sab. You can write this down, Surah number 6, Ayah 108. He says, لَا تَسِبُّ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Do not abuse those who call other than Allah. فَيَسُبُّ اللَّهُ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ إِلْمٍ. For they might return that abuse to Allah without knowledge. So it's not abuse. It's actually withdrawal of mercy. Now, Quran is filled with the word la'na. Allah sends la'na on shaitan when he refuses the prophethood of Adam. This is Surah number 4, Ayah 118. You can look it up. Surah number 5, Ayah 60 talks about Ashab al-Sabt for breaking the covenant of Allah. Okay? Surah number 2, Surah al-Baqarah, talks about la'na on those who hide the truth. You all know Mubahila. Surah number 3, Ayah 61. You know the ayah from Mubahila, right? La'na on those who lie. Now I'll give you an ayah that I'll read to you. So you know 33:56, we talked about it. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. So straight after you have ayah 57. Now ayah 57 says, those who hurt the Prophet, Inna alladhina yu'dhuna Allah wa rasulahu, those who hurt the Prophet and the Messenger, la'anahumullahu fi dunya wal akhirah. Allah's la'na in the dunya and the akhirah. Let's go. And then he says, وَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا, and he's prepared for them a painful punishment. Okay. So he says those words, Allah and His Messenger. Let's take His Messenger. Did His Messenger not say, Fatima tu bid'atu minni? Fatima is a part of me. So if you heard Fatima, you heard me. Did this Messenger not say, we all know this sentence, Husainu minni wa ana minal Husain. He said, Hasanu minni wa ana minal Husain. So if you heard Hussein, what happens? What does Quran say? 33:57. Why are we so scared of la'na? If somebody so much as hurt your child, what would you do? Ya Allah. Would you not? It'd be very hard to forgive. If they hurt your child, oh my goodness. Here we're talking about the grandson of the Prophet. So I don't understand why we're so upset about the word la'na. There is something that we need to take out of our head. Please take the word curse out, because that takes you through 30th October, Halloween, witches, monsters, all the rest of it. This is talking about withdrawing Allah's rahmah. Are you good with that? Because they do not understand rahmaniyat to other human beings. Okay? They have no concept of it at all. Okay. So I'm just going to go over very quickly over tomorrow and then we'll go to Aliyah Akbar. So tomorrow, we're told to greet each other. First of all, Sayyid Sistani, when he was told that people do not say salam, he said, this amal hada al-amal ghayru sahih, it is not sahih at all. So please don't stop saying assalamu alaikum. Then you have this sentence, a'zam Allah wujudana wa wujurakum, and by the time you said the first word, they've gone away. Basically, you are telling them tomorrow that may Allah reward you for this grief. Why? Because you've understood the freedom, Abul Ahrar, what Hussein stood for. He stood for freedom of the human being to be attached only to divinity. So when you see someone, just think that. Then you have Surah Al-Ikhlas. I know it's 1,000 times. Read it 10 times. Read it as many times as you can to bring you into focus that it is all about Allah. It is not about worshipping anything at all except Allah. Okay. Then you have Allahumma lan qatilatal Hussein. So Ya Allah, send your la'na, withdraw your rahmah from those who killed Hussein. Anybody who kills freedom, anybody who kills innocent people comes as part of this la'na. Then you have a 4 rakat salah, right? In twos. In the first 2 you have Kafirun and Ikhlas, and in the second 2 you have Ahzab and Munafiqun. Now, Kafirun and Ikhlas are known as Mukashkish. Can you remember that? Mukashkish means that which cures. If you're ever ill, Kafirun and Ikhlas. Kafirun is La ilaha and Ikhlas is Illallah. It's part of La ilaha illallah. Those 2 surahs. The second 2 are Ahzab and Munafiqun. Now Ahzab, I've already told you, it talks about salawat. It talks about 33, which is the ayah you recite in Hadith Kisa. It is the ayah that talks about la'na. So that should come into your head. And then obviously Munafiqun talks about the overview of hypocrisy. And literally, if you looked at the scene in Karbala, you've got Muslims fighting Muslims, have you not? You've got in one camp people who are half of the Quran. They understood it. So you and I, as the Prophet said, you don't want hypocrisy to come to us because it will come to us like a black ant on a black rock on a black night. So whilst reading it, that should go through our mind. Then we have the ziyarah of Ashura. Okay, and I talked about ziyarah as well. You've got Dua al-Qama, and then you go 7 times back and forth. Ridam bi qadahi wa taslim al-amri. So you're thinking of Hussein, you're thinking of Ali al-Askar, and you're thinking of me and you. When we have this apathy, and I'm talking about me, when we see things on television or we see too much on social media, we kind of switch off. What's happening? It's not happening. It's children who are suffering. So this is telling me I can't have any apathy. And finally we have Ziyarat al-Tadiyah. I'd like to introduce you to a dua that is recited 10 times on the day of Ashura. Okay? See if you can remember it. It's Allahumma inni as'aluka. Oh Allah, I ask you. Bihaqqi al-Hussein. Can you remember that, Hussein? And maybe you can listen to this again, or it is on the website. Wa jaddihi, wa abihi, which is his grandfather, his father. Wa ummihi, wa akhi. So you're giving Allah the wasila of Hussein, his grandfather, his father, his mom, and his brother. Farij anni ma'ana fi. Take away what I am in now. Any trouble I am in now. Birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Most of these updates we put on a WhatsApp group. If you go to Fatima at the end, she'll give you a QR code and you can attach yourself, and hopefully if I don't see you, then these things will be on there and you can pick them up. But today we remember Ali al-Akbar. Okay, I'd like to tell you a little bit about it. He was the first Shuhada of Banu Hashim. Now every year I hear marthiyas, and they're phenomenal because marthiyas are those that Imam Sadiq says, 1 tear from a marthiyah and it will quench the fire of Jahannam. But they have to be right. Very, very often, I didn't hear it today, but very, very often we tend to say that he was 18 baraska. He wasn't 18. Okay? So let's start in the beginning. First of all, he's buried near the feet of his father. Okay? On the day of Ashura, he was 27 years old. And Imam Sajjad was between 22 and 23 years old. So he was Ali al-Akbar, first Shuhada. I know it is tradition. We commemorate him today, some will commemorate him today. It doesn't really matter. We just remember one Shaheed. But in our remembrance of the Shuhada, if you ask many of us, do you know all 72? And we say, no, well we should. So we should learn about them, who they were. You know, there were Shawzab, there were so many different ones, and they were amazing people, okay? So, let's look at the beginning of Ali al-Akbar. So Imam Hussein only had one dua. You and I have a dua that sticks here. And his dua was, Ya Allah, give me a son that looks in appearance and in character like the Prophet. And Allah granted him Ali al-Akbar. Ali al-Akbar means the oldest. You know, whenever he wished to do the ziyarah of his grandfather, he would look at his son. People would come from far and wide, and they would knock at the door of Hussein even at the middle of the night. And they would say, we're so sorry, but we've traveled for days because they tell us that your son looks like Rasulullah. And they would knock at the door, and Imam would go to him and say, I'm so sorry, but these people have come for a long way. They can't wait. So please get up so they can see you. So this is Ali al-Akbar. There is a narration where Hazrat Abbas is walking with Ali al-Akbar in the markets, or as you want to say, the main town place, and he's always putting his head down because he was tall. So he's putting his head down, and Ali al-Akbar complains to Imam Hussein, and he says, "Is my uncle ashamed of me? Because when he walks with me, he walks with his head down. It's not fair." So he said, "Well, look, don't complain. Let's call him." So they call Hazrat Abbas, and Imam Hussein is sitting there, and they say, "Why do you do that? Because it's upsetting him." He says, "Everybody wants to see him, and I bow down so they can see him." That was Ali al-Akbar. Okay. You know, we have Babul Hawaii. Do you know that? Hazrat Abbas, Imam Hussein Kazim, and one of them is Ali al-Akbar. So today, on this farsh, ask him the name of Ali al-Akbar, especially if you want sehat for your kids, okay? This is what you do. His mom was known as Layla, you know that? She may probably not have been in Karbala. Layla was the daughter of Abi Murrah, but her grandfather was Urwa bin Masud Thaqafi. Please remember this name, because in Surah Al-Furqan, the people of Makkah said, if this book had been revealed to the honorable people of Makkah, or unhonorable people of Makkah and Medina, we would have followed it, but it was revealed to an orphan, to one who had no one. One of these people who was very well respected was Urwa. Urwa was one of those people that in Hudaybiyah, the Makkans sent as their envoy to see the importance of Rasulullah. When he goes to see Rasulullah, it was the tradition of his people to rub noses. You see that in Australia, don't you? They say hello, they rub noses. No, don't try here, okay? Salam is holding hands or hugging each other. So they just rub noses. And Urwa, when he went to see the Prophet, he saw that when he was doing wudu, the companions wanted the water that would fall off. So he came back to Makkah and he said, you have to respect Muhammad, because everybody's waiting for a little bit of the water that he does from wudu. When the Prophet came to Makkah and explained Islam and Urwa became a Muslim, his people killed him for becoming a Muslim. The Prophet always referred to him as the Habib of Al Yasin. This is Layla's grandfather. History is important. You've got to know a little bit about it. When he died, his last words were, I am so happy that I have died under the shelter of Rasulullah. Layla's mom was Maymuna. Maymuna was the daughter of Abu Sufyan. So Yazid was her first cousin. Are you good with that? In fact, when Muawiyah was nearing death, he said the person who should take after me is Akbar, son of Hussein, because he has the bravery of Banu Hashim, the generosity of Banu Umayyah, and the prestige of Banu Thaqif. That's what he said. So now Yazid becomes the leader. Let's go to the day of Ashura. Adhan is given by Ali al-Akbar. I hear it in all the marsiyas. So Adhan is given by Ali al-Akbar, okay? Now, he's the first one to go to the battlefield. But can you imagine this young man? On the battlefield, on one side his mom's family, his nanas, and one side is dad's family, which is his dada's. And imagine his mom's family and dad's family, and he's looking at that both, and Imam Hussein is saying, Ya Allah, bear witness that the son I send resembles your prophet in appearance and in character. Now, just imagination is what God gave you and me. Imagine Amir Akbar on the horse. Imagine this father walking behind him saying, Mahlan, Mahlan, Ya Ali. Slowly, Ya Ali. And he says, would you let me go? He said, Amir Akbar, if you had a son like you, you too will want to see him as much as possible. It reminds me of the airport. If you've ever been to the airport or a bus station or a train station and your children are going, you want to see them right to the end. And you think of Imam Hussein, thinking of Ali al-Akbar, thinking he will not see him. He goes in front of the army and he says, Ana Ali ibn al-Hussein, and they all know him because this is mom's family on that side. And he says, Ana Ali ibn al-Hussein, I have come here to fight for righteousness, for the right thing. He fights a brave battle, but he comes back to his Baba. He says, Baba, the thirst is killing me. It's really hard, Baba, and this armor is so heavy. Baba takes off the armor and says, I have no water, my son, but maybe if I gave you my ring, maybe you could get some water of it. The ring is hot because the sun is really hot. In some riwayah it says, Baba says, maybe my tongue will have a little bit of moisture. And when he sees his dad's tongue, he says, that is even drier than anything I've seen, Baba. He returns to the battlefield. There is one Murra bin Munqir who says, I will deprive his father of him. So he climbs on a tree and he hides. This is no fair battle. The Arabs used to fight fair. There was no fair battle. They surrounded him. Murra plunges the spear in Ali Akbar's chest. He holds onto the horse and the horse runs into the enemy's grounds. He's beaten up and he says, Ya Abati, alayka minni salam. I send you my salams from afar. Sakina narrates that when my father heard my brother's voice, he ran the opposite direction. He ran towards Najaf and he said, Aina Ali, Aina Ali, where is my father? He said, we guided him towards the voice. He said, I'm like Yaqub, I cannot see. When he gets to the body of Ali al-Akbar, we are told that Sayyida is sitting there holding his hand. He puts his hand on his son's chest and he pulls out the arrow saying, Ya Ali. He carries his son to the tents and he says, Bunayya, ala dunya ba'daka al-atha. After you, the world is nothing but dust. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.